Hello, folks. Hello. Welcome to the weekly Talking Tarot stream. I'm Joy Shines, if you have not been here before. And last week, if you haven't been here before, we're working our way through the minor arcana, so the numbered cards of the tarot deck that have suits and numbers, kind of like our playing cards. And last week we were on the sixes. We were talking a lot about movement and motion and progress, forward movement. This week we're on to the sevens, which, as we'll see, are a lot about challenges, a lot about obstacles, different kinds of things that, if the sixes are about, flow and movement and progress, then the sevens are about the things that get in the way of that or disrupt it. Hi, Don't Put Me on Pizza. Hello, welcome. It's so good to see you, as always. So, sevens, here we come. Diving right in. Maybe, if I can remember which one of these to click. There we are. Yay! So, starting with the Seven of Swords. So, again, swords are about our brains, our minds, our intellect, in general. So, starting with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the kind of most recognizable, most traditional interpretation of the card. Here we see a dude-coded person carrying off 5 out of the 7 swords on the card from what looks to me, you can see, like a very colorful kind of tent city, maybe festival grounds, maybe army tents on a battlefield. I mean, these are a lot of swords for a festival, right? But who knows? Maybe he's raiding the Sword Swallower's tent. I don't know. Ooh, interesting. Don't Put Me on Pizza. Feels like taking down a wall. I could see that. Yeah. Some of the things that are traditionally associated with this card and this interpretation of it are deceit. Oh, yeah, I can see that. The 2 of the swords, like maybe the other 5 were a continuation of the wall that the 2 started, and he's uprooted some of them, but he can't carry all of them. And that kind of like partial success, or to put it another way, futility. Like he's got all he can carry and it's still not enough. Is a theme we'll see brought up in other interpretations of this card. However, one of the very important things, so blurry, I'm sorry. But if you can see, he's very smiley. He looks really satisfied with himself. More so than I feel like I would look if I were leaving a job partway done. So he looks really smiling, really happy with himself, but he's also looking back at the other swords, right? So, well, I've got as much as I can carry for now. Maybe I'll come back for y'all later. And there's also the sense, at least in accepted or standard interpretations, that he's running off with things that aren't his. that this is a snapshot of a theft. And maybe he can't carry off everything, but he's carrying off the majority of it, so maybe that's good enough for him. So, a few different things going on here. Maybe partial success. Maybe futility, trying to do a whole thing and not being able to. Maybe deceit or theft as well. So, obstacles here. So in the 6, we had a very clear forward movement, whereas here he can't get his arms around everything he wants to do and may not be entitled to it. My don't put me on pizza, my experience and frame of reference for these things is like Leverage and American Gods, and both of those tell me that yes, go in, grab the boodle, and walk away unobtrusively. Don't run. The cops will chase a running person. And if you're not white, the cops will... Anyway. But yes, given my pop culture references for bank jobs, that seems correct. But yeah, so a heist, a caper, something that involves deception. In the Thoth deck, the emphasis, here's the keyword down here is futility. So the emphasis is on there's more than he can carry. Trying to uproot the whole wall, maybe trying to deprive the enemy of their weapons, whatever it is. It's more than he can carry. It's more than he can do. It's too big a job. So here we've got the one central sword with 6 other swords coming at it, right? And it's hard to see because, well, so my poor little webcam, one of these days, I promise I will get a better one. The emphasis is on the one sword, but what may not be real clear here is that the central sword is notched. It's dented and broken. From the other 6 swords, where these swords are pointing at it, they've already wounded it. So it's standing, it's there, but it's outnumbered. So maybe, who knows, maybe the point is that despite all the wounds, despite being outnumbered, this sword is still standing and, wounded but largely intact. Maybe the point is that despite being bigger than these other swords, there are more of them, and by small degrees, they're just going to keep poking at the central sword until it gives up. It's a futile effort. So the side that the futility's on is kind of uncertain here. But the emphasis is on efforts that are just not going exactly. Don't put me on pizza. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it's just not gonna, someone's efforts here are not going to bear fruit. So, a couple of other things about this. There's symbols for Aquarius and the moon on here, which I don't know enough about astrology. I know Aquarius is an air sign, despite being the water carrier, Ganymede. But I'm not super clear on how it particularly relates to this. The moon, however, has deception symbolism related to it, because it's ever changing. I think it's pretty reliable, right? We know how the moon changes. It changes in the same way month after month after month, but historically, it's a symbol of changeability, of deception, of things that are not stable. So that brings in some of the deception, untrustworthiness, maybe even adds a little bit of a kind of backstabbing angle to this futility, this death by 1,000 paper cuts angle here. So different emphases here, but similar ideas. In the Wooden Tarot, we've got the Seven of Plumes, equivalent of the Seven of Swords, and we've got what looks to me like a crow or a raven, some sort of lovely little spooky corvid, grasping an arrow. And this guy's got, I don't know if you can see, they're little round globes, berry things. He's got one in his mouth. They've got some scattered over him. By some, I mean 7, including the one in his mouth. And to me, this goes from futility to really emphasizing theft. Clever theft. Because I could see this, what this picture says to me is that this bird snatched that arrow right out of the air, or out of someone's quiver or hand, and ran off with it. It doesn't belong to the bird. The bird may not have any use for it, but the bird decided it wanted it, and so it took it and flew off. Like so many other cards in the Wooden Tarot, this doesn't necessarily feel like hostile or self-satisfied. Doesn't necessarily feel malicious the way that these two kind of do. But the emphasis does go back to trickery and theft. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not really certain what to make of the little berries or globes up here on his back and in his mouth. Not sure if they're little critters living on him or what's going on with that. But this interpretation definitely looks more tricksy and clever to me. And finally, in the Numinous Tarot, we've got a stage with dancers. You can see the silhouette of a dancer in the background. And hanging off the dancer's skirt are the 7 bells. Right? We've got someone right here, up by the edge of the stage, snipping off one of the bells. So, right here, we've got very clearly both deception and theft. Oh my goodness! Hi! Hello, Cacophony. Hello, Raiders. Oh my god. Ravens! Crafty! Oh, Cacophony. Hi. Hi there. Hi, beautiful people. Hello, Raiders. Yay. Welcome. To the amazing Raiders. Hi, I'm Joy Shines, and we are talking about the sevens in the Minor Arcana of the Tarot deck this week, and I'm so glad y'all are joining me. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat, and or add comments, questions, comments, smart remarks. I love interaction, so please. But yeah, yay! Thank you. Woo. So we were just talking about the various interpretations of the Seven of Swords, which, if any of the new folks are unaware, swords are about our brains, about our intellect, about our voice, communication, those kinds of things, wordy things. And we had just gotten to the Seven of Bells in the Numinous Tarot deck, which, as you can see, is deals with both the two big themes in the Seven of Swords are deception and theft. Yeah. And here we've got both of those. This sneaky person, right? The bells suit, I love it. That's a good point. Don't put me on pizza. The futility angle isn't necessarily as clear here. Although one of the questions that this card inspires me to ask is, for instance, if you identify, if in a reading, you, trying to say, sorry, I misread that at first. Don't put me on pizza. So you said trying to say something and people silencing you. Yeah, so by cutting off one of these bells, this dude is taking away part of the dancer's noise, part of the dancer's voice and expression. And one of the other questions that comes up for me is, if in a reading you identify with this person, why are you making it harder on yourself? What in this situation makes it necessary for you to go about trying to get this by deception? To grab at it and get one when... Couldn't you ask the dancer where they got the bells and maybe go get some of your own? Or see if they have extras? Or borrow? So what here is pushing you? What here makes you feel like a course of deception or taking what's not been offered freely to you is the right way? Alternately, if you identify with the dancer, this is a good warning that maybe, like you said, don't put me on pizza. Despite what you're trying to get across, someone's trying to undermine you. Someone's trying to take some of that for themselves or cut off some of your resources, some of your voice. It's a good warning to look out for the ways that people may be trying to undermine your ideas or your work. And as usual, I really love this interpretation. So, moving along from the Seven of Wands to the Seven of Pentacles, or coins, or discs, a lot of different names. And as I said, folks, please feel free to ask questions. I try to be really clear about things. Oh, I might have just called the swords wands. Don't put me on pizza. Thank you. I didn't mean to. We just talked about swords. Wands are next. After coins or pentacles. So, the 7 of Pentacles, or discs, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And for the Raiders who joined us, if you're unaware, this is one of the more recognizable and familiar decks. So I tend to start with it, because if you've seen a deck, that's probably what you've seen. Yeah, don't put me on pizza. This could be crop failure. The immediate impression I always get from this, so there's this farm person leaning on their tool, their hoe, I think, or whatever it is, looking at the plant. And I always get a sense of both weariness and impatience. Right? It's a very damn it or hurry the fuck up look. So, because I mean, maybe this counts as crop failure, but to me, like, those are some nice round healthy pentacles here. And the leaves are green. They're not dry and shriveled up. Now, maybe something's amiss because maybe one's fallen off. Maybe they're not getting what they need. Or maybe they're just not growing fast enough to suit this person. Maybe this person feels that since they've put in all this work, since they've tilled the ground and watered faithfully and hoed and fertilized, that they should be seeing some reward. Oh, hi Cacophony. Yay, yes, you are here. You are here. Sweet. Right, Cacophony. To me, those look like nice, healthy coins. Oh, maybe so. Maybe so. Don't put me on pizza. I could see either way. But this one always feels to me like the obstacle here isn't anything anyone's done wrong. It's that organic processes take their own time. And a lot of the time that's on a slower schedule than what we'd like. Exactly, don't put me on pizza, waiting for your investment to ripen and come into full fruit. And that can be a very damn it process, and it can look slow and it's incremental, and if you're checking every day it may not look like much is happening. You just kind of have to wait, and then you turn around one day and it's there. But the waiting process is hard, especially if you have to keep fertilizing, keep watering. Ugh. And it can feel like failure. Speaking as someone who has real trouble having enough patience to grow anything at all. I'm so bad at that. Me, except with less healthy plants. So yeah, waiting on investments, maybe being afraid of failure or feeling like failure is happening due to your schedule and expectations not being in line with the way the process actually works. However, on the that's a damn it look note, in the Thoth deck, the key word here is failure. And as you can see, our 7 discs are very dark. They're very dark. They feel kind of feathery to me, like almost peacock feathery. It is. It is Don't Put Me on Pizza. It's very dark. It's very moody. It feels sulky. So again, that kind of gets at the, oh, damn it. This isn't going the way I want. This is a failure. But even in this deck, to me, it always feels more like it's more about the perception of failure than an actual clear cut, this thing isn't working, you should just give up. It feels like, well, maybe I don't have all the resources aren't working like I'd like, the investments aren't developing fast enough. Clearly this is a failure, more so than total ruin and despair, right? So while the emphasis is different here, I still, in practice, tend to read these very much the same way. In the Wooden Tarot, we're back to organic processes. We've got a femur, I believe, because we've definitely got an insert to ball joint here as our bone. And ooh, maybe that's a floating patella down there. Huh, I'd never noticed that. So we've got a big strong bone, right? And we've got a ton of mushroom garden, like all these mushrooms sprouting out of it. So we've got things growing, but they might not have been the things we were expecting or wanting. Don't Put Me on Pizza, you say, maybe that bone is from a badger. Maybe so. Could you elaborate more on the why of that? I do not know enough about badger anatomy to know anything about the whys and wherefores. But one of the things I like about this interpretation is oh Don't Put Me on Pizza. Well played. Well played. My brain is not up to it. No snakes today, I think, but badgers and mushrooms for sure. So this shows organic life developing, things growing out of something that looks dead. It's a bone. It's not connected to a badger or anything else. And yet there's still life. There's still growth. And so even though these talk about, failure or mismatched expectations and timelines and maybe frustrations with the process, to me, this one emphasizes the persistence of life and the way that life and growth can emerge from something that looks dead, that looks like a failure, like an ending, like something that's just done. But there's still life. There's still possibility that can emerge from that. So, yeah, exactly. Don't Put Me on Pizza. Returns from an investment you gave up on, or forgot about, or haven't been tending, or that tanked and you thought was completely done. But surprise, now you get mushrooms. And the implication here, I feel, is that it might not be the growth you were expecting, but it's still useful if you know how to use it. So similar themes, but definitely a different inflection here. So, in the Numinous Tarot, the Seven of Tomes, we've got a writer at an author signing away on their books, which says a few things. The book's been published, so we know a huge amount of work has gone into this already. They've got events set up, so they have at least some community support and probably enthusiasm about it. And they look pretty okay with things. That's not a damn it face. Don't put me on pizza. You say it feels strange to see the pentacle in the background. Why so? Just strange for this deck, or strange in other ways? But, so even though this person is, for the deck. Yeah, while the Numinous Tarot deck is definitely like witchy and has its whimsical moments, it's definitely not nearly as like standard Wiccan kind of sort of thing. I don't feel like it pops up very much. Pizza, I don't. You're right that it's unusual here. Not heavily used. But still, despite all this work, despite all this preparation and some measure of success, this person is still having to maintain and put into their investment, still having to assign book after book after book after book after book, and maybe their hands tired. Maybe they wish they could just, their book's out there, they wish they could just let it go, let it develop on its own. But the gardener can't stop working, can't stop tending if they want an actual crop, and neither can the author. Can't stop tending it. Maybe don't put me on pizza, maybe they want to move on to the next thing. Maybe they just want to be able to stop and rest and enjoy what they've done, but they have to keep tending it. Because, and maybe even this feels like failure. Maybe even this feels like, oh, well, if it were really successful, I wouldn't have to be, going around doing these events to just try and drum up interest. If it were really successful, I could just have it online, have it on the shelves, and I could hole up in my cabin with my cats and feed my little introvert soul. I don't know if they're an introvert, but I could see this being a draining and frustrating part of the process. To quote someone about something someone I know said about a thing they made once, it's about 70% of what I wanted it to be. Yeah, pizza, that's a pretty good, it's a pretty good summation. And even 70% can feel like failure, right? And even 70% can be frustrating because we want it to be 100%. We want it to be all the way there. We want it to be done now. Please and thank you. But the schedules don't work that way. And we have to work through that period so that we do get to, hopefully, we get to the full harvest. full return on investment. So, also, I wanted this to be better, but fucking deadlines. Story of my college life, pizza, except not, because I had plenty of time. I just waited till deadlines. Bad procrastinator. Bad procrastinator. So, Seven of Wands. Here, I feel like, is where we get the most direct, because wands are not subtle. Wands are pretty fucking direct. Example of the sevens being about obstacles and how we confront and deal with them, right? So in the swords, we had to be on the lookout for subtle theft or deception, or look at how we deal with a futile situation where we've taken on more than we can do. I mean, swords aren't necessarily subtle, but since they deal with the brain and the intellect, sometimes they're a sharp instrument, right? Think about fencing and how delicate and pokey that can be, as opposed to like club fighting, bludgeoning. So it's a qualitative difference. But anyway, and then in the Discs and Pentacles, we had, yeah, exactly, cacophony, it's pokey. In the Discs and Pentacles, we had the obstacle of just trying to keep going when it looks bad or not enough or unfulfilling. In the sevens, in the Seven of Wands, people are coming at us. We are trying to exert our will, and other people are definitely trying to keep us from doing so. This is open obstacles. I mean, it's not necessarily other people, right? Maybe we're trying to exert our will and these are our internal narratives and voices going, oh, well, that's a stupid idea. Well, you should stop that. Now, shouldn't you? Have you thought about what might happen? So it's not necessarily external, but this talks about open conflict, openly confronting and standing up to opposition, obstacles in the way. Not, keeping watch for deception, not trying to strategize and figure out, have I taken on too much? Not just having to wait and be persistent while the natural order of things catches up to our schedule. No, we have to confront things. We have to maybe do battle, maybe engage in open conflict, but these are not things we can ignore. We have to come up against them and deal with them openly. In the Thoth deck, this kind of gets even clearer. The key word here is valor. So, I mean, this person looks pretty valorous. They're braced and ready to defend their ground against the wands coming at them, the opposing wills coming at them. But this one specifically speaks of valor. So we've got the central wand that is, if you can see, kind of knobbly and fiery looking. And to me, it seems to glow a little bit. Here, it looks a little bit luminous. against a backdrop of 3 more standard wands. And again, these all have different significances in the Golden Dawn that I'm not experienced enough to know. That's okay. But this one stands out against all of them. It seems set off. To me, it feels like this one kind of set the fires at these intersections. Yes, don't put me on pizza. The middle wand feels very Old Wizard wand or Old Wizard staff. It even has a knob on the end. But it feels like an object of power. Something that can stand up. Right, Crowley. Not subtle. Crowley's not subtle. Something that can stand up against these fine, stylish, newfangled wands or staves. So, may not be the slickest, may not be the prettiest, but that kind of power to confront, to stake claim, to face off against whatever's getting in your way. And we've got Leo down here and Mars up here. So Rar, lion, and god of war. So no bones about open confrontation, open conflict, establishing dominance. On that note, in the Wooden Tarot, we've got a single horn, again, not really subtle, emerging out of kind of a ring of 6 stone points. And to me, this horn is a fuck you all, I'm going to do the thing, and y'all are going to, I imagine that the horn, that the stones were sitting there. The stones were sitting there in a pile. And the horn was trying to get somewhere. Oh, no, stones. Horn shoots up through a pile of stones. Stones fall every which way. And yes, this definitely has that my dick is the biggest dick energy. Very much like Crowley's. My dick can beat all the rest of your dicks. And it's, yeah, because very forceful. This one just, yeah, exactly. This one feels very forceful, very aggressive. And on the one hand, it doesn't super make sense because horn is objectively a less hard, less sturdy material than stone. But at the same time, it's breaking on through to the other side just to hit all the like big dick energy strong points. Hi, Shy Guy. Hello. I'm glad you're with us tonight. So, moving on to, and just to be clear, we're on the, hey, we are, no, we're Shy Guy, we're discussing the sevens in the Minor Arcana. Thank you, Cacophony. Yes. While I babble. Hi. Boomerino, that's not what we're here about. So if you want to join the conversation and play along, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll ask one of my mods to take care of that. Ah, lovely. That's wonderful. Thank you. Don't put me on pizza. I've never had that happen before. I feel like a real Twitch streamer now. Getting bot spammed. Oh no. Wow, maybe I haven't had my... Thank you for the mod sword, Cacophony. You are excellent. I appreciate it. Oh yes, we are rude as all fuck here when we are talking about tarot. It's great. Bye, y'all. Love for Cacophony. Thank you. That is definitely the first time that's happened to me. Oh, so cute. So I'm gonna keep talking. Cacophony, you're doing an amazing job at wielding that rainbow banhammer, and I appreciate it immensely. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward. Right? They're getting in my way. These people are getting in my way when I'm trying to talk. So I'm going to keep strutting my stuff, as the Seven of Candles in the Numinous Tarot deck urges us to do. So here, I really love this one. What I see here is this fabulous person in their fabulous getup, walking on the catwalk with their fabulous walk, surrounded by hecklers. Because these people do not really look like they're cheering this person on. They look like they have very unhelpful things to say. And who knows why? Maybe they're not a fan of the style. Maybe they have heard rumors. I don't know. I don't know what's up with this. But they're not being supportive. But that doesn't stop this person. They keep walking tall. They keep strutting their stuff. They keep going forward. Because they know that on the one hand, they're confronting these obstacles. They're dealing with these obstacles by not letting them stop them. On the other hand, they know that not every voice requires their response. Not every comment requires them to respond directly. And so they stroll on by. They stroll on by the hecklers, burning with their own light. It is, don't put me on pizza. Yes, exactly, Cacophony, thank you. The candles in the Numinous Tarot are wands and other decks. And, yep, where are you in this card when it comes up in a reading? Are you one of the hecklers? Are you tearing people down? Are you walking on in spite of what you're hearing in the world around you? And sometimes we're on either side, and that's okay, but it's good to notice that, and hopefully if we're on the heckling side, look at why we feel the need to tear someone down. Look at why we feel the need to get all up in their business when they're having fun. Oh, God, don't put me on pizza. Seriously, this is way too real in US politics right now. Far too real and extremely painful. And this is a super hard walk to walk right now in US politics. It's not fun. But well noted. Very well noted. So, I don't know enough about UK politics to have an opinion on that, but I trust you on that. Don't put me on pizza. Yeah. So, moving on to the last suit. 7 of Cups. Seven of Cups. So again, cups are about our emotions. Cups are about our hearts. And here, the 7 of Cups, we've got this person, a challenging choice or a choice with so many options. What we've got here is a person looking into the clouds, so looking literally like castle in the clouds, looking at their dreams, and looking, seeing so many beautiful possibilities, so many enchanting options. That's a good question. Don't put me on pizza. Are they representing the 7 deadly sins? Maybe. So greed, pride, envy, lust. I don't know. I don't know if they match up exactly. But there are definitely a lot of different desires here, right? Maybe for adventure, for victory and acclaim, for wealth, for something we don't even know what it is. It's veiled. This figure's veiled. We don't even know. But just something. So all these desires, and how do you choose? How do you know? How do you determine which ones you could actually... this... Don't put me on pizza. This one feels like it might be a skirt. It might be. I feel like there are hands here. So I feel like this is a veiled figure over the head, a veil over the head, but it might be a skirt. We might just be missing the rest of the figure. But the cups, it's hard to know sometimes what of our desires are practical, are worth pursuing, are worth trying to bring out of the clouds and into the world. And that's what this gets at. Sometimes the obstacle in our hearts is the abundance of possibility and trying to find what of those things we actually want. Choice paralysis, absolutely. And because Crowley is Crowley, he takes it in the debauch direction. So here, rather than heavenly visions and tinkly bells, we have 7 cups overflowing with green, sludgy, algae-y water or fluid. This looks very lazy, kind of stagnant, which comes back to the choice paralysis, stagnating in a place of not choosing. But the key word here feels to me like there's more of a, let me have my cake and eat all of it too. perspective, rather than, I don't know which, I don't know which. More of an, why choose? I can just keep stringing all of these things along. Things, people, priorities. I can just stay where I am. Who needs to choose? I'm just gonna settle in here and have all the things. Oh, pardon me. Glass on glass. So debauch in the sense of just having and luxuriating in a lot. Thank you, Cacophony. And yeah, don't put me on pizza. With debauch, brothel is certainly not an unreasonable association. And in that, okay, so to expand the metaphor, in a brothel, one would think, you go in and there's all your choices there. You go in and you're presented with an array of choices, and those choices are there. And in theory, if you have the money, if you have the time, in theory, you can do this. You can stay in the brothel and taste all of the choices. Visit all of the cups. And they stay and you go and you can just, I know, right? I was proud of that one. Glad the trolls are gone. So, yeah, this has more of a, I'm going to visit all the things on the buffet feeling to me than the, oh my goodness, what do I choose here? In the Wooden Tarot, Seven of Blooms, which is the equivalent to the Seven of Cups, we've got a big multi-petaled, very complex flower here with 7 big divisions. That is an eye in the middle. Don't put me on pizza. So again, we've got going back to that feeling of looking, watching, trying to decide, trying to suss things out. And it's a little bit weird because rather than someone outside looking at all the options, it feels here like the complexity, all the choices, all the folds and the possibilities are looking out at us. Right? It does. Don't put me on pizza. It does feel creepy to me. So I still get a big feeling of complexity and possibility here. There are lots of folds here, lots of indentions, lots of places for things to hide. But it's almost like the possibilities are looking at me. Almost like they're assessing me. And which one of them wants me? Which one of them is going to choose me? Which is a different approach to this card. And one that, I don't know, sometimes it does feel like things choose us. And it's not a comfortable feeling to feel like we have to wait in suspense until things choose us. Don't put me on pizza. It's very much like job interviews where, yeah, ideally it goes both ways, so to speak. Where you're interviewing them and they're interviewing you and you're trying to figure it out together. Here, this feels like they're interviewing me, or I'm interviewing. Yeah, they're looking at me. They're interviewing me. It's creepy. Creepy. So, the Numinous Tarot, kind of back to the Rider-Waite, but pulled down out of the heavenly visions here. We've got this person at the window to the apothecary shop, looking at the 7 vials. And I like this because it's both more practical, but still, we don't know what's in the vials. Through the window, we can't tell. We can't tell if they're just decorative, or if they have helpful potions in them, or if maybe the prettiest ones are things that we're allergic to. We have no idea what's inside them, how much they cost, if they would be helpful to us, any of that. And yeah, the window dressing, and especially the way that the glass shines, does feel airy. Don't put me on pizza, you're exactly right. But I like the way that this emphasizes and prompts us to ask questions about what do I need to know to make my choice? What information do I need to gather about these possibilities to make a good choice? Yeah, don't put me on pizza. I guess this could be a cloudy sky, but I've always seen it as like really dark bricks with accent bricks in there. But there is no reason at all that it couldn't be painted to be a cloudy sky. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the backdrop definitely looks misty, for sure. Misty and kind of magic smoky clouds. Yeah, the outside is wall. So, yes, to me, this goes back a lot to the Rider-Waite interpretation of, well, we're not trying to have all of them, but we don't know which one we want. We just don't know. We are not sure how to choose. And I like that here it's made clear that if we stay where we are, we're not going to get enough information to make a good, informed choice. We have to go inside. Maybe we need to ask the shopkeeper. Maybe we need to pick them up and hold them. But if we stay out here window shopping, we can pine and long for these things all we want. But we're not going to get enough information to be able to choose well. So, as usual, I love this interpretation. I love the questions that it prompts me to ask people when it comes up in a reading. They're usually very useful. So, there we are, the 7s. Several different kinds of obstacles, ways of engaging with them, things that keep us, things that get in our way when we've been making progress. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you as always. Don't put me on pizza for your comments and your insights. Thank you so much, Cacophony, for wielding that banhammer like a badass. And if anyone is not already following Cacophony, you should go check them out. Thank you for being here, Ravens from Snow. It's really good to see you. Yay! So good. I don't know what my stream schedule is going to be for next week. I'm going to be out of town for several days, and I'm not really sure when I should plan things when I get back. But hopefully there'll be another story next week, and moving on to the 8s, seeing what they have in store for us with our tarot stream next week. I'm feeling kind of done for tonight, so unless anyone has a suggestion, I think I'm just gonna shut things down here, and I will see y'all next week. Oh right, if anyone here is not already in the Social Justice Bards Discord, it's a great place to go. If you have questions, you can post them there. I have my own little mini channel where I post stream schedules and answer questions, sometimes post resources. Can also direct message me on there if you have questions, concerns, smart marks, etc. And I'm always glad to chat and talk and stuff. So thank you again for being here. Have a wonderful night and be well, and I will hopefully see you next week.